Am I back in the program, ma?
Yes, yes, Swamiji.
So will this happen one more time? Because I think it's a...
Again, yes, Swamiji, 40 minutes it's going to disconnect.
Okay, after that I need to join again.
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay. So far, so good?
Yes, yes, Swamiji.
Okay. So when we have a goal which is oriented to an achievement in this world, then prima facie we lose the scope for becoming and being a yogi. This body and this world has a dharma. They have a basic nature. And what is that basic nature? Asti, jayate, vardate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati. This is the definition that scriptures give to the whole created, manifested universe as well as a person's body. Asti, I'm repeating, asti, jayate, vardate, viparinamate,
ரொம்ப பெயின்ஃபுல்
apakshiyate, nashyati. Asti jayate, vardate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati, which means this world and this body is definitely going to go through 6 types of modifications. Asti means it exists in a potential form. As we were as a womb, as we were as a sperm, as we were as a ova, it is a potential form. Then there is a birth, jayate. Then there is growth, vardate. Then viparinamate. Gradually, it starts deteriorating. Apakshiyate. It goes through the process of sickness. It becomes weak, incapable of surviving. And then nashyati. Then it goes away. This is the truth of the body. We have even heard of this word, kaya kalpam. Kayam means body, kalpam means ensuring that the body will not get destroyed. Give me a moment. So, those who tried all the methods for Kaya Kalpam, what happened to all of them? If they were successful, we should have a lot of people who are 2000 years old, 10,000 years old, still amongst us healthy. It is not possible to preserve this body. This body will perish anyway. And when this body leaves this world, at that time, what will come with you? Will everything that you have earned, the degree that you have earned, the PhD that you have behind your name, the house that you have made, the name that you have got that you are so and so, you are capable of doing these things, will all these things come with you? You know, you remember the famous song of Kannadasan, Vidu Varai, Uravu, Veedi Varai, மனைவி காடு வரை பிள்ளை கடைசி வரை யாரோ. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked this question. Krishna introduces the ideas of yoga, the ideas of spirituality to Arjuna. He says to Arjuna, O great failure, who is capable of tormenting all the enemies, you have to get yourself involved in the process of spiritual sadhana. And throughout Bhagavad Gita, there are instructions on yoga. And as Krishna describes all the things, there is a point when suddenly Arjuna becomes doubtful. He asks Krishna, though throughout Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna displays that one quality of going on asking doubts. Even in the 18th chapter, you find him asking a question. He asks this pertinent question to Krishna. If I practice yoga, if I do intense sadhana, but in the process, if I do not become an enlightened one, and if I die, then what will happen to me, Krishna? Should I start in my future births once again from the beginning? So Krishna gives a promise, not only to Arjuna, that promise is given to all of us. Krishna says, Krishna, we consider him as a Jagat Guru. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramadhanam Devaki Paramanandam Vande Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. He is also considered as one of the lineage of masters. Though he was born in a Yadava Kula, we have taken Sri Krishna as our Lord and as our Guru. Because in our country, where you were born, to whom you were born, was not given so much importance, like how it is being portrayed today and utilized to polarize our society. On the contrary to what is being said now, we pray to Krishna, who gave such great wisdom, and that is what is looked at. And Krishna says to Arjuna, don't worry, Arjuna. Whatever efforts you are taking, the impact of those efforts are getting embedded in your Sukshma Shariram. See, the yoga has a clear understanding of the human personality. Yoga says that we have a physical body, we have a subtle body, and we have a causal body. I have to tell you names in Sanskrit. They are Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirani. Stula Shariram, Sukuma Shariram, Karana Shariram. In Tamil also the same words are used. 3 bodies have been mentioned. And what yoga that people are now practicing, what yoga now people are researching about, what studies that are being done today have unfortunately become limited to the physical body. It is about asanas, impact of asanas on muscles, on organs, on systems, on hormones, on different physical dimensions. Studies have been made. This is like trying to make a camera stand on a tripod with which 2 legs are broken, and you try to make the camera stand on one leg. So if you are approaching yoga from the angle of asanas, how flexible you are, how acrobatically you are able to perform a posture. In fact, there are competitions and certifications issued on the basis of how many asanas people are able to do within 60 seconds, in 3 minutes time. I mean, if a person is able to show on a stage in front of 100 people 200 asanas, does that person become a yogi? You may be wondering why I started off with such a route. In today's parlance, from a modern perspective, from a scientific angle, what research is being done is related only, one and only, to the material, physical, gross dimension, the Stula Shariram. And I had earlier mentioned during the beginning of the session that this body and this world goes through 6 type of modifications. Existence in the potential form, manifesting and coming into existence in the form of a birth, then there is a growth, then there is a decay, then there is a disease, then there is a death. Even the sun that we are seeing present as a star which is been for crores of years, even this sun will one day become a black hole. There is a time period for the sun. This whole universe, you see everything, a tree, a plant, a flower, a bird, a honey bee, a dog, everything has a time span. It exists in the potential form. It comes into the manifest existence through a birth. It grows, it decays, then it becomes diseased and it dies. And if you're going to do a yoga, if you're going to adopt a system of yoga which is not going to stop this modification, then what is the purpose of this yoga that you are going to adopt? When the rishis conceived yoga, when the Hatha Yoga masters, when the Raja Yogis, when the Bhaktas, when they all conceived their systems of yoga, they did not speak only about the physical body. So in the context of modern approach to yoga, there is a need to look deep within what is it that we are all trying to study. Even a meditation is related to how it can help in hypertension. Even a meditation is adopted for a reduction of a blood pressure or changing neurosis or bringing about a change in the heartbeat or bringing about a change in the digestive system. For example, diabetes management and meditation. A lot of research has been done in this angle. So the whole gamut of study, all scientific study, all research is happening in a unidirectional manner, which is a 1/3 yoga. If you do a 1/3 yoga study, if you are even a master of this 1/3 yoga, you are in darkness when relating to the remaining aspects regarding this Sukshma Shariram and Karana Shariram. which is your own body. You have a body which has got a physical part. You are able to see this body in front of this camera. But are you able to see the knowledge, the wisdom that is there inside this body without me speaking to you? And because I speak so well, does it mean that I am not having any ajnanam? If I am able to present very well, does that mean that I have become a yogi? What is manifest, what is apparent, what is available for the sense perception alone does not matter. In fact, in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the first line, many people, most people, when they begin their talks on Raj Yoga, refer to the second line of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Many grammarians, many people who are linguists, they take to saying that the first verse is an announcement of the beginning of the lessons of yoga. One has to be a yogi to understand what a yogi wanted to convey. They are all in sutra form. A sutra is like a seed. And what the seed has inside it, do you know? The seed of a banyan tree and the seed of a green kira, both are of same size. So interesting it is. So small. And you put them in the soil, one becomes a huge tree and lives for hundreds of years. And one grows within 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, grows to its full size and dies within 15 days time. So what is there inside the seed has to be exploited, brought out through the wisdom of a yogi. And my Guru, Paramahamsa Swami Niranjanananda Saraswati, when he talks about Raj Yoga, he takes the first verse of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. He says, Atha Yoga Anushasanam is a very important lesson in yoga, and most people miss it out. Anushasanam is translated casually as instructions on yoga. Shasanam also has this meaning that it is a rule, a ruling. A shasanam also has the meaning that it is a ruling. What rules? If you remember in the movie Bahubali, the mother of the hero says, what I say is the shasanam. There are several temple manuscripts, Kovil Suvargalile irukira manuscripts, Kalvettukal. They are all called shasanam, which means if the king has written his shasanam, it will rule the nation. Sashan has the meaning to rule also. And Anu, Tamillime Anu na enna? Miga nutpamanadu. Nuclear bomb, nuclear, atomic, it's very small. Here we are not looking at it in the sense of small, here we are looking at it in the sense of subtle, sukshma. So Anushasanam actually refers to ruling over the subtle aspects of your personality. And what are the subtle aspects of your personality? Your thoughts are subtle. Your prana is subtle. Your emotions are subtle. Your understanding is subtle. Your knowledge is subtle. Your memories are subtle. Your attitudes are subtle. Your desires are subtle. Your cravings are subtle. I can just go on and on telling all the subtle things that are there. And if you apply your mind, you will also be able to understand how many subtle things are there. Have we noticed them? Have we taken responsibility for them? Isn't it more important for us to ensure that the subtle aspects of our personality are managed even better than just managing this physical body? This is the basis of yoga. Yoga does not look at the body as the reality. This body is called as Jadavastu. Even in Tamil we hear Kayame idu poyyada, Kaatradaitha payyada. They realize that inside this there is a lot of subtle force. When this word is said Kaya, Kaatru, they are referring to prana. There is also another very famous song. Andi Pandara Padalgal, very famous song. Nalaru Madamai Koyavanai Vendi, Kondu Vandan Oru Tondi, Ade Kuttadi Kuttadi Pottude Tandi. Nandavanathil or Andi, this whole creation is the Nandavanam. And Andi is a person who has nothing. This Jiva is free. It is not a part of this body. The properties of the body is not the properties of this Jiva. The limitations of the body does not limit the Jiva, me. So the basic tenet of yoga is to look at me not as the body, but look at me as the one in the body. That is why in Bhagavad Gita you find the reference to the Jiva as Dehi, not as Deha. Dehi means the indweller. The indweller of this physical body. Navadware Pure Dehi is the reference given. The city with the 9 gates, that is what this body is. And the Jiva that is there inside this body, that is the reality according to yogic view of self. Now, if you don't even recognize the subtle aspects, and if you are doing a intense, so-called intense study, a research only on the dimensions of the muscle, bone, of course, when you do asanas, when there is a particular posture, when the posture applies a load on a particular joint, there is definitely a calcium deposit more in that particular location of load of the bone. When you do a research, you come to understand that the practices of yoga have influence on the Annamaya Kosha, the gross physical body. It affects the brain, it affects the heart, it affects the lungs, it affects the skin. It affects not only the gross external physical body, it even affects the subtle internal physical body. Ayurveda talks about the Sapta Dhatus. This body is made of 7 components. They are called Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Medhas, Shukla, Shuronita. So when these 7 aspects of the components with which his body is made of, even those components get affected through the practices of yoga. There is no doubt the whole world, the researches that were done in the 1970s and the 1980s, under the guidance of Swami Satyananda, when he toured all over the world and introduced Satyananda Yoga to the whole world, between the 70s and the early 80s, up to 87, 85, so many scientific institutions, universities, scientists, doctors, nuclear physicists, they got introduced to yoga. The work of the disciples of Sri Swami Shivananda, the work of Swami Vishnu Devananda, the work of Swami Satchitananda, the work of Swami Satyananda, it is unimaginable contribution. This month on 21st, we are going to celebrate the 4th International Day of Yoga. And when the Prime Minister passed a resolution in the UNO, if UNO found an overwhelming response in 170 plus countries immediately supporting the resolution, is it because the Prime Minister passed it? If he passes another resolution saying that every country should now start enjoying Siddha medicine or Ayurveda medicine has to be accepted by all nations, will all the nations agree? No, they won't agree. Why did they agree when we passed the resolution on an International Day of Yoga? Much before the resolution was passed, the devotees of Krishnamacharya, the devotees of Swami Shivananda, they had traveled far and wide to each and every continent. They had touched the hearts of millions. Point I'm making is the research work that started then all over the world has now come to India. And we are having now universities looking at yoga as a valid scope for study. But if all the studies are going to be done only in the orientation of the physical body, the gross body, the stula shariram, which goes through all the 6 types of modifications, then how is it relevant and enough? Because we have a sukshma shariram and we have a karana shariram. And the first verse of Rishi Patanjali in his sutras begins with, yoga is that through which one is able to rule, govern, manage the subtle dimensions of one's own personality. So an extroverted person, a person who believes that I have to achieve in this outer world, I have to become famous, I have to become rich, I have to become powerful, I have to become virile with a lot of virility so that I can enjoy sexual pleasure or other forms of pleasures in life. If these are the goals for which yoga is utilized, it is very unfortunate because it is a stunted view. And as a serious seeker, as a student of yoga, I would strongly recommend to each and every one present here who is pursuing yoga as a career to first become a yogi. You may be a doctorate in a particular aspect of an asana. You may have a PhD. But if you haven't experienced yoga in its true sense, the way in which the rishis have described it, because in Bhagavad Gita, a very beautiful saying which glorifies the position of a yogi. I will read it out for you. Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi. A yogi is greater than a tapasvi. Krishna says, Jnanibhyopi matodikaha. A yogi is greater than even a jnani. Karmibhyas-chadiko yogi. A person who is involved in all the rituals which are described in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. People who do the japa, homa, yaga, yajna, dhanam, and all those things, and follow all the daily rituals, prescribed rituals, extraordinary rituals. Karmibhyaha, karmibhyas-chadiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. Krishna recommends to Arjuna, become a yogi, man. Because a yogi is greater than a karmi, greater than a person who follows the Vedic ritual system or the tantric ritual system. A yogi is greater than a jnani. A yogi is greater than a tapasvi. Become a yogi. This is a recommendation that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. So first one has to become a yogi. When you become a yogi and when you have observed your physical body and you are able to manage your own physical body, when you are able to observe your subtle body which contains your prana, the nadis, the chakras, which contains your manas, the emotions, the rational aspect, which contains your buddhi, your intellect, your thinking, understanding, calculating, analyzing aspect, which has your chitta, all the memories and vasanas of this life and past lives, and ahamkara. Ego management is such a big problem. People become offended so easily at the flip of a finger, like the striker of a carom board. A person goes into topsy-turvy emotional turmoil. I use a term, mind mines, like landmines. In the war situation, they keep landmines around areas where they want to attack, and if the opponent comes, if the enemy comes, they will get caught in the landmines and they will burst. Like that, we all have mind mines. If you can be triggered and made to become angry in just a jiffy, in a snap of a finger, if you can be made to become depressed, how can you claim that you are a yogi? In Bhagavad Gita, there is another beautiful definition that Gita gives for a yogi. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. A person who remains unruffled, polambamal iruppavan. If you are lamenting about anything, if you are lamenting about your family, if you are lamenting about the country, if you are lamenting about the corona situation, if you are lamenting about this university where you are doing your yoga course, if you are lamenting about some professor, some teacher, some co-student, peer member, if you are a lamenter, being a polambrala irundal, how can you be a yogi? Siddhya siddhyo, whether you achieve or you don't achieve, samo bhutva, whether it is a success or a failure, whether it is name or fame or defame or loss of name, are you able to remain unruffled? From the angle of Hatha Yoga, If you become predominantly Ida or if you become predominantly Pingala, then you can't be a yogi. If you hate too much or if you like too much, then you are not going to be a yogi. If you are not going to deal with those aspects, and if you're going to deal only with the physical aspects of stretching, twisting, inverting, increasing the lung capacity, changing the hormones, then you are doing with 1/3 of who the person is. And if all the research and all the knowledge and all the study pertains to just 1/3 of people with whom you live your life, to whom you give guidance and counsel for transformation, what kind of transformation you can bring about in them? The transformation will be lopsided. Therefore, a yogi is a person who understands, first of all, what is there in him or in her. You have to understand that you have a physical body. You are not the physical body. You have to understand that you have a subtle body which is made of prana, manas, chitta, buddhi, ahamkara, tanmatras. You are not the subtle body. You are not the sukshma shariram. You have the sukshma shariram. You are the jiva. First of all, if you do not recognize this, and if you do not see how the jiva is, yoga talks about Satchitananda. It says the Atma, the nature of the Atma is Satchitananda. The system of bhakti does not differ from the system of Raja Yoga. It's very interesting. The system of Vedanta does not differ on a large scope with what yoga says. If you hear the verses of Shankara in his work called Mohamudgara, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate. When you say Govindam, it does not mean that it is the Venkatachalapati who is having a temple, who is the richest god in India, who gives laddu. Gam Vindate iti Govindaha. The one who takes care of each and every jiva, who provides and nourishes and guides and uplifts all the jivas. Like how a cow is taken care by the herdsman. That's why we have Gopala, where there is a cow and there is a Krishna. I think in a minute with this screen will go and I will have to sign in.
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji.
So we have, I think, another 13 minutes, Ma.
Yes, Swamiji.
For this session.
Can we open that 13 minutes for
Yeah, I have given
interaction?
A broad overview. I have given a broad overview. So if people would like to ask questions, when I sign in again, they could ask me questions.
Yes, Swamiji, definitely.
So I will finish till this screen goes off.
Okay, Swamiji.
So first of all, you need to discover your true nature. You need to develop your ability to govern the 3 dimensions of your personality.